Good morning, gorgeous. How are you doing today? I hope you're having a fantastic day so far. Welcome to the Dr. Dav Show. I'm your host, Dr. Michelle Dav. I'm so happy that you're here with me today. We're talking today about femininity and specifically some things that could be impacting your femininity. The things that might be stopping you from really becoming the feminine woman that you desire to be. There are so many videos and talks about how you can look more feminine, how you can act more feminine, and those are all fantastic. But it's also so important to think about some of the deeper things that could be stopping you and blocking you from getting to where you really want to be and feeling authentic in it, feeling like this is actually you, that you're not faking it, that you're not overextending yourself to be something that you're not yet, but you're really getting to the core of the things that could be impacting your womanhood. I know I've shared this before, but for myself personally, in stepping into my feminine self, growing up, I was really feminine on the outside. But I struggled with a lot of the things that I'm going to talk with you about today, because these are the things that really set you apart as a woman. These are the things that really allow you to know that you are truly comfortable in your skin. And these are the things that bring out your true nature, that allows you to really blossom in your femininity. So I want you to go ahead and sit back and relax and get something warm and cozy to drink. And let's talk about this. The first unhealthy habit that I would urge you to stop that could really be blocking your femininity is negative self-talk and comparison to other people. I know this is very difficult because oftentimes when we are really trying to change and when we have an ideal being that we want to aspire to, we tend to see, okay, who is like this? Who can I model after? Who can I try to be like? Who inspires me to be more of this? It's very normal. And oftentimes it's what's needed to kind of light that fire in you. But what can happen is over time, you're consistently checking that person's Instagram page or checking that person's videos and trying to see what their life is like and how you can be like them. And oftentimes when we do that, we fall short. And then we think that we're not worthy, we're not capable, we don't have the favor of God. We just start letting our minds run wild, and this can lead us into deep, deep darkness. So it's important not to criticize yourself and to realize that you're not going to be like the other person, because you were created uniquely and beautifully and differently by God. And you have your own path in life. You have your own way of doing whatever you're doing. This is actually what stops so many people from stepping into their greatness. And you, as a beautiful woman, you have something so beautiful to offer to the world. But when you're comparing yourself to other people, it can cripple you so much that you feel like what you have is not even worthy. Like it's not even worth putting it out there. So you don't take that chance. You think, well, there's no way I can post this kind of content because I don't have a nice kitchen, or I don't have the right clothes to make videos on style, or I don't have the degree to be able to talk about this thing. Yet you may have the experience. You may have a very powerful story. Maybe you feel like you don't have the right makeup and the right clothes to do the things that you want to do and impress the people you want to impress. And so it just stifles you. You look at all the people who are doing what you want to do or doing what you feel inspired to do, but yet you don't have what they have. So it just defeats you altogether, which is a whole nother issue. But that is one of the issues we have right now because of social media, that we are living in this fake world where people are pretending and comparing themselves to pretentious lives. These are not even real lives. Like, people aren't really even doing this. Some of these people are renting studios that look like homes and sets that look like bathrooms, and they're filming all of their content for a whole month in 2 days there. And you think that they have this glamorous bathroom, so you can't do your skincare routine because your bathroom is not something that anyone would think is nice. And these things hurt your creativity. They hurt your self-esteem. They can bring you so much anxiety. And you are so special. And it's not the stuff, it's you. when you really are doing something that you're passionate about and that you love and that you're inspired to do, it's you. It's you in the work, you in the process of it. People liking all of the extras is not liking you, the person. And yeah, there are people who are beautiful and creative and they make things and people just like to watch it or like to engage with whatever it is or buy whatever it is because of how it presents. But it doesn't mean that that person is valued. So we want people to see you. And the only way they can see you in your work, in your gifts, in your destiny is by you showing up without comparing yourself to the next person and living the life that you want to live based on what's been put in your heart by God. The second unhealthy habit that really does stop women from really being the true feminine women that they're supposed to be is prioritizing appearance over health. Yes, again, appearance is the first thing that we see, and we are judged by our appearance, and our appearance can open doors for us, and our appearance oftentimes makes us feel so good. But because of those things, those very outward, superficial things, we can spend a lot of time focusing on our outer appearance, focusing on buying clothes, just shopping, skincare, makeup, shoes, focusing on getting our hair done, our nails done, our facials. I mean, all this stuff on the outside, which is great. And as a feminine woman, I encourage you to take great care of your physical appearance because it matters and it's part of being feminine. Okay, I'm not taking that away, but I want to add that our health is just as important. And when you overfocus on your outside, but you don't do things like take your vitamins, exercise, go to see your doctor and get blood work and checkups, and make sure that you are just in line with your mental health, like you're making sure that you're not feeling so depressed and yet you're not checking in with someone or seeing a therapist. Just doing these things is so important, and they're often neglected because we think that the outer appearance can make up for all of that stuff. When you're at a point where things are just going wrong for you all the time, you're not able to keep up with your friendships and your relationships, and your money is funny, and it's just like everything is messed up. But you don't have a spiritual life. You don't have any spiritual health. You don't have God. You don't have the things that matter. That is so unhealthy. And these unhealthy habits truly do rob you of your life. You're wasting money and you're wasting time because you're putting on a facade that you will later regret and wish that you had spent more time focusing on the things that matter: your physical health, your mental health, your spiritual health. They are what make the outside look so good. So I encourage you, if you haven't been paying enough attention, to start focusing your attention on those things. Another unhealthy habit that could be truly impacting your femininity, and this one I used to struggle with so much after I graduated from college, is over committing to plans and saying yes to things that you really want to say no to. This one was a big struggle for me. After college, I was just so used to having all of these friends and going from one person's dorm room to the next person's room and having lunch with this person and dinner with that person. So after I graduated, these people still wanted to see me. Like, I've gotten into this routine of socializing, and I would literally have someone to see almost every single day, but now I'm in the real world. Now I work, now I have responsibilities, and I didn't have the time to dedicate to going out with all of these people. So I would become overwhelmed, and then I would end up canceling plans over and over and over, which made me look really unreliable. And it just brought me a lot of mental torment that I did not need, because I could have easily said, let me think about that. Let me get back to you, instead of saying yes right away. So knowing how to say no, or just set up some boundaries and say, okay, well, you know what? Let me check my calendar and let me get back to you. And giving yourself that space to think about what you're really doing with your time. Can you afford to go out this much? Do you really want to see this person? Is it someone you actually really want to have in your life? I mean, all of these things are important, but you need time to process it and not allow people to bombard you with things. Of course, this could be at work too, which is another struggle. when people are asking you to do things, and maybe they're asking you to do things that are their job, but maybe they're making you feel so good about it. Like, oh, well, you're so smart, or you know how to do this so well. You're better at it than me, or whatever little things they'll try to tell you to make you feel good so that you can do their work, or you can do the work that's just not part of your job. Learning how to say your plate is full. You would love to help with this, but unfortunately right now, you're just trying to keep up with what you have going on. Learning how to say no in ways that make you feel comfortable. It's not about being harsh or being rude. It's about putting yourself in a position where you're honoring your own feelings, your own time, your own emotions, and doing it in a way that you feel good about. Some people will try to tell you that you should use certain language and you should say certain things that are just so distant from who you are. And unfortunately, hearing advice like that sounds so good, and it makes you excited to say, okay, I'm going to change. I'm going to be like this. But the reality is it's not who you are. If you're a very sweet, loving, gentle woman, you're not probably going to be able to say something very harsh and stern to someone. And if you do, you may feel so bad about it that you go back on what you said. So you want to find language that resembles who you are. Say in a way that makes you feel comfortable, and you can walk away feeling like you honored yourself without being out of character. That is so important, especially as a feminine woman, to make sure that you leave every situation in a way that still honors you. Another unhealthy habit that ties right in with this last one that could be affecting your femininity is by overcompensating, or over-accommodating, I should say, over-accommodating other people's needs while neglecting your own. It is important to be a person who is loving and who is able to connect with other people and who is giving and sacrificial. All of these things build your character. All of these things make you a stand-up woman. They bring blessings to your life. This world is very self-centered and will tell you to just forget about what this person wants. Don't inconvenience yourself for other people. And those are all lies. Like, those are things that will actually make your life worse. The truth is, being a good person, like helping your neighbor, treating people as though they are yourself, these things are blessings to you. Literally, like, they all enrich your life. But when it gets to the point where you are overextending, where you no longer even feel good about it because you feel like you're being used, when you're at the point where you are neglecting your own health, your own finances, you're neglecting your family, you're going beyond what you are comfortable with, that is when you need to learn to say, I can't do this. I'm not going to be able to do that. And this is important. These are boundaries, and they are to be set with everyone, including yourself. Learning how to have boundaries, learning how to say, this is what I can do and I will do, but after this, I'm not going to be able to do anymore, and sticking with that. When you don't do this, you can end up having burnout, you can end up having health issues, and oftentimes these health issues are not like, okay, well, maybe you're having a stomach ache because you're so anxious, but it could be things that build up over time because the stress of it all starts to manifest in your body. You have to put things in place. Oftentimes in these situations, I started to realize there was a pattern. I would start to say, why is it that people keep asking me for this? Or why is it that people keep crossing this boundary? What is it about me that's making them think this is okay? Oftentimes, God will allow this. He will allow the same thing to keep happening over and over and over to get your attention so that you can pivot. You can change in a certain area. It is a clear sign that there's something you need to do differently. And so I learned that oftentimes I had to talk to someone, a trusted friend, and sort of go through it with them and make sure that I'm not being unreasonable, make sure that, a level-headed person, by the way. I would not pick someone who's just going to side with me, or someone who just loves some drama, or someone whose character does not match up with mine. I would choose someone who was a mentor to me, or someone who was older, just more experienced, or just level-headed, someone who I like the way they move in life. And I would ask them, what do you think about this? And they would say, Michelle, no. I would get that a lot. Or they would say, well, why don't you consider this? This is what I say. And it was so helpful. So I wouldn't have to carry all of those burdens on my own. But what will happen is if you keep talking to this person every single time and they notice a pattern, they will usually tell you, why is it that this keeps happening with you? Why is it that your grandfather keeps asking you for this or that? Why is it that this person is completely disrespecting your time and you keep allowing it? It's so important, my dear. I mean, I remember that I had a lot of things going on in my life where I was so stressed and I did not have the voice to be able to share how I really felt because they were family members, or I felt like what they were asking was like, oh, it would hurt their feelings if I said no. And even though it was really an inconvenience for me to where it was burdening my life, I was struggling. And I remember being pregnant and saying to myself, there's no way I can do this when I have a child. Maybe I can do it now, but I need to make a change now. I need to set the tone now because they're going to continue to want these things from me when I have a family or when I have other things where I'm not going to be able to. So I need to make those changes now. And it was very difficult. It took a lot of prayer. It took me talking to people who I trusted and who also maybe knew the other person. So they knew kind of like, okay, how this conversation might go. But eventually I was able to do it. And every time that you do something that strengthens you, that takes you to that next level, it makes it easier for the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. It's all training and it all grows you as a woman and helps you to just be so much more confident in who you are and in what you believe. And I urge you to start doing that now if you haven't already, because you will be freed. You will be lifted from the chains of other people trying to control your life. Another unhealthy habit that could be impacting your femininity is seeking validation from external sources. This is very common in this culture, because our culture has now created a system, social media, for validation seeking. And unfortunately, it can turn from just normal, like being an influencer or wanting to help people or wanting to share, to you putting your identity with the likes and with the comments and with the views. And these things can truly impact how you feel and how you show up. But validation is not just through social media. External validation could be from people that you don't even know. Strangers in the street telling you look nice. People in your family, your relationships, your friendships. It could just be the way that you dress. You dress because you want people to say something to you, or you do your makeup very dramatically because you want attention, or you conform your behavior. You have thoughts and beliefs that are so different than other people's, but because you want to be liked and accepted, you are not able to voice your opinions. And you want people to think you're smart, so you say the smartest, wisest thing, but it's not even how you really feel, because you want people to say, wow, that was good, right? There are so many ways to seek external validation, and most people do it. I mean, the majority of us do it in increments and little degrees, because oftentimes that's how we measure how we're doing with something. If you cook dinner for your family and no one says, Mom, this is good, you might think, oh, maybe it wasn't so good. Like, you may want that validation of, this is so nice, so that you know that this is a great dish to keep making. There's nothing wrong with wanting validation, but it does become dangerous when all that you do is for other people. If you wear an outfit that you really like and you feel so good in, but no one tells you it's nice, you don't want to wear it again. You get rid of it. Or if you have a new hairstyle that you've been really excited about and you get it and no one notices or no one tells you it's nice, or people say, I actually like the other style better than this one, then it makes you want to get rid of your hairstyle. Like, it is really a prison when you are seeking the validation of other people. And I know this bothers people so much, especially on social media. When they make a post and only a certain amount of people like it, they look at it over and over and over, wondering what's wrong with it. And it's actually really difficult, especially for creators, because there are systems now that really make it difficult for you to not seek that validation. I mean, YouTube, when you post a video, it'll tell you where that video ranks with your other videos. As soon as you post it, it's like, oh, it's ranked number 10 out of 10, or it's ranked 7 out of 10. You're like, 7 out of 10. I worked so hard on this. Why is it not number 1? It's positioning yourself against yourself, but yet it's creating a form of dissatisfaction, when really they have so many systems and reasons why that video maybe didn't get pushed out or people didn't see it, not because it's not great work. So it can be a very, very difficult web to get out of. But in your heart, in your mind, as you're doing whatever you're doing, being authentic about what you're doing and doing it from your heart because you want to, because it's what you love, because it's art, because you're helping people, and not worrying about everyone always liking what you're doing, everyone giving you validation, everyone giving you props, not worrying about it coming from other people, but worrying about what God thinks about it, what your self thinks about it. Can you sleep at night? Do you feel proud of what you've done? Did you put your all into it? It could be something that you didn't even work hard on. You didn't put any thought into, or you had bad motives and people love it. Should that make you feel good? Is that validation real? Is it something you should be proud of? Right? If you went into it with bad intentions and people loved it, it's not a good barometer. The barometer is what God thinks about it, what the word of God says about it, and how you feel about it at the end of the day. So I hope that for those of you ladies who struggle with looking a certain way because you want boys or you want men to like you, and you dress a certain way because you just want compliments, you want to be seen, you want dates, trying to tweak it and do things the way that you would actually like, even if you think that it goes against the grain, and seeing how you feel, seeing who comes into your life then, seeing how things change, right? Just test it out and see. And you might be surprised at what you find out. I talked about this before, but another thing that oftentimes keep women from being truly in their femininity is by suppressing your voice when you have differential or differing thoughts in other people. This is often done when you're trying to avoid a conflict. And many times women who are truly feminine do not like to be in conflicts. They don't like to fight with people and to cause unnecessary drama. And that's a good thing. But when you do have something that's important to say, when you do have something that could change a situation, when you have something that could solve a problem and you don't say anything, you are going against yourself. You will be fighting yourself for the rest of your life if you cannot be true to your own voice. I know that you may not like confrontation because I don't like it, and it's just not something that I ever really want to walk into. But there are times where I know I have to, and guns will come out blazing when I have to. These are the things that will separate you from other people because the way you do it may be very different. But choosing to stand firm in the things that you believe and not allowing the loud people, the obnoxious people, the people who just want chaos or just want anything to slide, the people who don't have morals, people who don't have the alignment of the things that you believe are true, when they're coming for you or when they're coming for things that matter to you, not letting them win just because they're louder. Not avoiding confrontation just because you're not comfortable. You doing things you're not comfortable with is how you are going to grow. It's how you bloom. It's how you are able to look at yourself and say, I'm proud of you, girl. You did that. You want to have moments in your life where you can look at yourself and say, I'm so proud of you. You want to be able to have moments where you did things that stretched you. And oftentimes it comes in those confrontational situations where you are fighting against something that goes completely against your beliefs in order to maintain whatever it is that you're holding on to. And that is important. Your voice is important. Even if you're soft-spoken, even if you're not someone who's going to confront them face to face, you can confront in a letter, you can confront with legal assistance, you can confront in so many different ways. It doesn't have to be dramatic, it doesn't have to be violent, and it should never be violent. It can be done in a very feminine way, but it does have to be done. If you choose not to, oftentimes you may harbor resentment towards people. You may be very inauthentic with people. You might not be able to have real relationships because you are bothered by something someone said or did, but you don't have it in you to address it. And therefore, you may end up doing things that you end up being in the wrong for. You end up messing up because you were not brave enough to say what you really felt. It's not easy. It's not easy, but you gain your strength from God. You pray and you ask the Lord to be your strength, to go before you, to be there with you, and to help you say whatever it is that you need to say. God will strengthen you. He will be with you. You will see the difference when you ask for that. You'll see the difference in the outcome and in how you feel during the process. Another habit that feminine women do that can be so detrimental and toxic, that can impact your life, is by staying in toxic relationships. This one is difficult because oftentimes we get into friendships and relationships that we know are just not ideal, but we've built this bond with this person. We remember the good times. We like them. We want it to work. They look good on paper. Everyone else likes them. Or you just don't even know that you're in a toxic relationship. You're just so used to always arguing. You don't realize that most couples probably don't argue, but like 1 or 2 times a month or 1 or 2 times a year. You would be surprised when you see how a healthy couple really lives. And you think that because you get into an argument once a week, it's normal. Getting into an argument once a week is not normal. It's not. So realizing when you are in a relationship of any kind that is toxic, even if it's a family member, and learning how to back out of those relationships, learning how to give yourself the grace, give yourself the strength, give yourself the time, whatever it is that you need, get it for yourself and move out of those relationships so that you can be at peace. When you stay in toxic relationships of any kind, and I say friendships because oftentimes feminine women don't even realize how much friendships can shape their self-image. The people that you think are going to be there for you and root for you and all of that are often the ones that are tearing you down, making you feel ugly. It may not be a guy making you feel ugly. It could be other women, which is sometimes worse. It can sometimes be worse, harder to bounce back from. So you being in toxic relationships of any kind, abusive relationships, physically abusive relationships, any of that, your boyfriend's cheating on you, any of that, and you allowing that behavior and staying is you telling yourself you're not worth it. You're not worth being treated well, but you are. You are. And understanding and believing that and gaining the strength with God, with resources to be able to leave those relationships. But this is a matter of you choosing yourself, of you choosing life, of you choosing to grow from what you've learned and get the thing that's best for you, because there is someone better out there for you. And if it's a family member, oftentimes that separation might be needed for them to be able to recognize, to heal, to grow, and for you to be able to get some peace, to be restored and renewed by God. So this is something that requires prayer and strength and time, but depending on the situation you're in, it oftentimes needs to be immediate for your own health and safety. And last but not least, one of the things that feminine women often do that truly does take away from their life and their femininity is ignoring health concerns, ignoring mental health concerns, ignoring emotional concerns, ignoring your spiritual concerns. I know I talked about this earlier, so I won't go deep into this, but it is so important that when you realize that you are slipping in any way, when you're feeling like you're not living a life that is good because you are anxious, because you are too tired, because things are just falling apart everywhere, because you are striving, but things are not working out for you, that you take a step back and you think about what is going on in your life. Who is in your life? Who was in your life that maybe helped it? What is happening that you cannot control? And taking inventory of that, figuring out what you need to do. Do you need to start having a relationship with God? I would say, yeah, all the time, regardless of whether life is good or bad. But oftentimes, God allows these bad things to happen to get your attention so that you can come back to Him and He can help you and do what you cannot do by yourself. You may need to go into a space where you learn how to pray correctly, where you learn how to break things off of your life, where you learn more about the spirit world and understand what's happening around you that you cannot see. Why certain people are able to break free from things and other people are not. Why certain people are being trapped into things and other people are not. There is a way out of these things, but you will not know until you get in it, until you face it. If you have a concern with depression, or you realize that you're acting very strange and you don't know why you can't stay in friendships, you can't stay in relationships, and you're volatile and you're overspending and your life is just a spiraling tornado. Realizing you need help and seeking that help through your therapist, through your medical doctor, your general practitioner, having someone speak into your life and guide you on where to go. Paying attention to these things, because these things matter. These things will impact you as a mother, as a wife. They will impact everyone around you. And if you can get a hold and a handle on this, your whole life can be better. So I thank you so much for spending time here with me and listening to this. And I hope that these toxic habits can be something that can be changed and renewed in your life. Remember to always wait on the Lord, and He will renew your strength. He will help you. He will guide you. Having a relationship with God is the most important thing in your life, and everything else is second. So I urge you to just think about these things and whether or not you are really living a healthy feminine life, not just on the outside, but mostly on the inside. If you love content like this, and you can listen to my podcast, Dr. Daf Show, where I do more content than I do here on YouTube on femininity, on womanhood, on marriage, and on God. I love you so much. And until next time, remember that in all things you do, make a feminine impression. Bye-bye.